Hello everyone, and welcome back to Hook 'em on Health. As always, I'm Amanda, a registered dietitian and certified personal trainer, and today I wanted to talk to all of you about a topic that is near and dear to my heart and that I know has a lot of people feeling a bit confused. That topic is joyful movement. So first things first, what is joyful movement? Essentially, in a nutshell, joyful movement is kind of what it sounds like it would be. Movement that you find enjoyable or that brings you joy. So when we dive a little deeper into this, it's about engaging in physical activity or physical movements that you actually enjoy, that you find pleasurable, that are a positive experience for you, right? It's moving because it feels good to your body and not so much because you're concerned about any of those external things, right? Like I feel like we live in a society that's very driven on the external things. So, not engaging in this movement just because it's popular right now or because your friends like it, but you actually don't really like it, or because you think it's going to make you look a certain way or burn a certain amount of calories or, any of those types of things. And it's more about engaging in that type of physical movement because it feels good, because you derive satisfaction from it, because it's positive for your mental health, because it makes you feel connected to your body, connected to, things around you. It's relying on those more internal cues and intuitive cues, which is also part of the reason why joyful movement is often used interchangeably with intuitive movement. So what constitutes joyful movement? What actually is joyful movement? What activities are joyful movement? These are difficult questions, and the beauty of joyful movement is that it can be anything. Everyone's interests are different, and what feels good to their body is going to be different too. Basically, the importance here is that you're engaging in some type of movement that you enjoy, not whatever type of movement is supposedly the best, right? There is no best movement. The best movement is the type of movement that you can engage in on a regular basis and actually enjoy. For some people, joyful movement might be engaging in a high intensity HIIT class, for example. For others, maybe going for a leisurely walk after work or doing some gentle yoga before bed might be their joyful movement. Some people might like to move with others in team sports or group fitness classes. Keeping in mind that we are currently in a pandemic, so be safe, but you get what I'm saying. Other people enjoy movement in solitude. They enjoy doing something for activity by themselves. We're all different, and so what we find enjoyable and what movement is going to be enjoyable to us is going to be different, and that's the beauty of it. One is not better than the other, they're just different, and that's okay. One thing that I see people struggle with a lot when it comes to joyful movement and incorporating movement into their life and their schedule is comparing themselves and what they're doing to other people. And I get it, right? We all compare ourselves to other people. It's pretty hard to get away from. And we do this in every aspect of our life, not just physical activity. But I do see it crop up a lot, where you'll see an influencer and they're doing this certain type of activity, and so you feel like you should be doing that, or maybe if I did what they're doing, my body would look like their body. And I think ultimately these are just very unhelpful ideas that we've kind of passed off as truth, right? So I think when it comes to joyful movement and movement in general, we know a couple of things. One, we know that engaging in regular movement in however your body is capable of moving is health promoting, right? For a number of reasons. Physically, mentally, emotionally, engaging in regular movement is important. And two, if you like what you're doing, you're more likely to continue doing it. Basically, I think what I'm saying is do what you like, stay on your own mat, and stay in your own lane. Right? You do what you enjoy doing, let other people do what they enjoy doing, and try to remove that comparison and judgment and all of that as best you can. So how do you figure out what type of movement is actually joyful for you? This can be a really easy question for some people. I'm sure that there's a number of people watching this video right now that know exactly what type of movement is enjoyable for them, and they hear the terms joyful movement and they're like, yep, I know what that is. For other people though, we can become so detached from thinking of movement as enjoyable that it's actually really difficult to figure out what type of movement is joyful for us versus what type of movement we do because we think we should, or because we were told we should, or any of those external factors that I talked about earlier. I think one of the things that can be really helpful when you try to figure out what movement is joyful for you is to kind of take a step back from things for a second, to gain a little perspective, try new things, experiment with new things, try to kind of step outside of your current routine, your current pattern for movement, whatever it might be. If you're not currently engaging in movement, try some different things here or there. And if you don't like it, don't do it. If you like it, great. That's your thing. That's your joyful movement. If you're really struggling, I would strongly encourage you to seek out a certified personal trainer who is well-versed in the ideas of joyful movement or intuitive movement and can kind of help you on your journey towards discovering what type of movement is going to fit best with how your body feels and your life. How often should you engage in joyful movement? This is a really great question too. And I think that we have a tendency to want a clear-cut black and white answer, right? And with joyful movement, I don't really think that there is one. Just like how I said earlier that one type of movement might be enjoyable to you and not another person, the same thing is true for how much joyful movement you should be engaging in on a regular basis. One person might feel better doing more movement than another, and that's okay too. In general, the physical activity guidelines for Americans suggest at least 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity physical activity for optimal health. So moderate intensity activity, I like to explain to people thinking about the talk test. So it's not a precise measurement, but it's really helpful and really available for a lot of people without having to have special monitors or other kind of stuff that you may not have access to. It's simple to do. Once you're engaging in the movement, if you're able to talk to someone, maybe say a sentence or two before you have to pause for breath, but you don't have enough air or enough oxygen to be able to sing while you're doing that movement or to say a lot all at once, then you're engaging in moderate intensity activity, with mild activity being something where you have enough air that you're able to very freely carry on a conversation with someone. Very easy to do. That would be mild. Moderate, you can still carry on a conversation, but you are having to pause every once in a while to take a breath, more than you would if you were just sitting, or at rest. And then vigorous intensity activity, that higher end, is where you kind of have to pause for breath every couple of words, right? You're not able to get more than a couple words out without needing to pause to get more air. That's kind of, in general, a good litmus test to use. Okay. The other thing though is that I think it's important to remove ourselves a little bit from this idea of like the rigidity of the numbers, right? And that's part of the idea behind joyful movement, right? It's relying more on those intuitive cues, those internal cues, and less on the external ones, the ones that tell us what we think we should be doing or how we think we should be doing something, what someone else is doing. So I think one of the things that can be helpful is thinking about, how often does movement feel good to you? When does it feel good to you? The idea is that you want to be getting some type of movement on a somewhat regular basis. And whatever that is, whatever works best for you right now in your life, that's what you should do. Whether that's getting all 150 minutes of physical activity in a week, or just being more intentional about trying to get 30. That's a good step too. I think we need to remember it's not realistic for us to go from 0 to 100, right? So if right now you're at none, any is better than none. As long as you find ways to move your body in a way that's enjoyable for you and fits into your life, that's the important part. And remember, you do not have to be dripping in sweat or have sore muscles in order for that movement to count. However you're able to move your body in whichever way feels enjoyable to you, all of it counts. At the end of the day, what's really important is that you're regularly moving your body in a way that you're able to, that is safe, that is enjoyable, and that fits well into your life. That's really what joyful movement is all about. What does joyful movement look like for you? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you liked this video, please be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you back here again next time. Everyone is getting home from work right now. Literally everyone is arriving home from work. They're all coming down the hallway. I was about to talk and then the door opened again.